All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 106 of the On Air Advocate. We're at the On Air Advocate. We look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited that you are either joining us here this morning or whether you are catching this on the replay. Now, if you guys have been following the trend since New Year's Eve, we have been in a reset for the new year for 2019 on looking at health and wellness, diet, nutrition, all of that. And so I thought that this could be a no better time to have Hal Honeyman on here from the Bike Rack. He is also with Project Mobility and Creative Mobility, the founder and the owner of that during this time of exercise, rejuvenation, getting the kids out there, getting adults out there, and being active, right? Because that's what we do in the new year. So welcome, Hal.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. And, you know, Hal, you have an amazing and very, very inspiring backstory to, you know, how the Bike Rack came to be and Project Mobility and Creative Mobility. And so I would love for you to just kind of share with the audience a little bit of your background story before we get going.
Sure. Well, we've had a family business called the Bike Rack now for almost 45 years. And 25 years ago, my wife Julie and I had triplets, and they were born very premature and in the hospital for about 3 months early. And Jacob, Claire, and Emily, Jacob had a brain bleed at 1 day old. And as a result of the bleed, he ended up with cerebral palsy. And it kind of thrust us into a world that you sort of think exists, but then once you're actually living it, it's a whole different experience. Definitely. And age 3, his sister started to ride bikes, and that really being a biking family, we started thinking, okay, how do we get Jacob on a bike? And we started looking at different options. We found a bike in Canada that he was able to ride, even though he has severe spastic quadriplegia, pretty much dependent for everything, but he was able to ride a bike. And that really, for us, was a life-changing event and changed our direction, our course, and a lot of how we spend our life.
Right. And I mean, you had kind of from young on, you had this background story of being in the bike world. And so to bring, your family and your kids into this and to be able to make those accommodations for not only, your own children that do not have, mobility issues, but your child that does, and now servicing, I don't know, how many bikes have you guys worked with or given out through Project Mobility at this point?
Well, in terms of events, putting people on bikes, be it injured veterans, be it kids, be it disabled adults, it's in the tens of thousands since we started doing this. Providing bikes the last few years. Project Mobility was originally founded to do events. The whole focus was so we could go out and do events and get people on bikes. And then a number of years ago, a girl, Riley Christensen, went to her family and said she didn't want anything for Christmas. She just wanted to get a bike for a child. And that evolved into getting, I think that year, 3 bikes we surprised kids on Christmas Eve. So since then we've given away, I think, over 200 bikes.
Oh my gosh.
And it's that portion of what we do has grown every year as we do more fundraising, trying to find ways to, help people get bikes. I mean, it's great. When we take someone and we put them on a bike that first time, the look of joy on their face, the experience, you just can't describe it. It never gets old. But the thing about that is we leave and we go home and we take our bikes with, and then what happens? So right. If we can get these people that have experienced that first time cycling, joy, and if we can find ways to get them to be able to do that every day and make it part of their life is what our goal is.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, what were some of the biggest challenges you saw? So when you had your triplets, and then obviously your son, Jacob, correct? We had all the different things that were kind of compromising. When you were looking at a bike adequately to fit him, and kind of, I'm sure that you obviously did a lot of researching out there, like what was available, seats to sit in, or did you just, could you look at where his needs were and just know all the different things there? Or did it take a lot of, layers of research to figure out, okay, for all of these different individuals, everything has to be customized? And where do you find those people? How did that process take place, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, really one bike at a time. As we've met people and encountered different situations, different physical needs, different just family situations, everything. We've found like having a big toolbox, where you have the tools and you need to go and reach grab this wrench for this particular situation. So what started out as one bike from Freedom Concepts in Canada, was the very first bike we got, Jacob, has evolved into probably work with about 10 different brands of bikes from all over the world, from Germany, Britain, here in America, just a lot of different things. And then we do a lot of custom fabrication as well. So we're actually building a bike next week for a veteran up at the Milwaukee, VA. And it's a hand cycle, and his injuries don't allow him to use his hands. He has no fine motor skills, so he's going to use special gloves made out of rollerblade gloves called C5 grips. And then along with that, we're designing from scratch a head-powered brake, so it has full functionality with steering and the gears and pedaling. And we're going to completely fabricate a brake where he'll use his head to stop. So really, just anything you can imagine, we've come up with depending on what people need. Now it's to the point where right away you see someone go, oh yeah, we can use that. Or other times you go, oh wait, what are we going to do now? And then you go and try to create a solution.
Right. So does the process work where if you're looking to get a bike for your loved one, or let's say you have some adaptable needs yourself and you're able to call in, is it something that, you make an appointment for, you come in and then you structurally look at the things? I mean, how does that process go? Would someone call you up then and come in to kind of be fitted, the same way as we'd be fitted for orthotics or shoes or anything else would be fitted for a bike?
It's exactly the same thing. So yeah, just set up a time, we arrange for a fitting. We also do a lot of, off-site events. So for example, this weekend, we're going to be in St. Louis at the Mississippi Valley Bike Expo. And I've got a number of families coming to see me for fittings, for growth adjustments, different things that they need. And the following weekend, 2 weeks, we're going to be in Indianapolis. And the week after that, we're going to be at Harper College in Palatine, Illinois. So in the summer, we're pretty much every weekend, we're doing an event somewhere with kids, with veterans, with disabled adults, and there are all different types of groups that we work with. So, if someone's far away, the best way is to try to coordinate a meeting where we're going to be there, or make a trip. Our furthest people that came for fitting actually came from Tokyo, and we fitted for a bike and then had it fabricated, and we were able to test it and make sure everything would work. So once we shipped the bike, we knew that bike was ready to go. We have another one from both Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. We've had families get bikes.
Oh my gosh. And what is the process? I know that you guys are not always obviously a direct funding source, but what is some of the layers in the process? If I'm a parent sitting back listening saying, oh my gosh, my son has ridden an adaptable bike and it was the best experience ever for him. How do I go about trying to get any type of funding or help for payment for it? Do you have different resources that you give parents then to kind of follow that so that they can hopefully get some funding, or, the bike at least, somewhat paid for?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first step is getting that fitting, because we really need to document, what a person needs, get exact specifications.
Okay.
Pictures are always great, pictures and video. When you go to a group and say, I want $5,000 for a special bike, they look at you like, well, what are you talking about? But if you have a video or a picture and you can see what is happening, it's really helpful. Once you've done that step, my sister Tammy has written a book called The Funding Guide for People with Disabilities. And it evolved from us finding over 200 different resources of folks that have funded bikes all over the country. And there's a whole step-by-step process to how to go about, researching what group is a good match for you to apply for a grant or help. And then what are the steps beyond that? And pretty much anytime, if you follow those steps, you do your homework and you follow through with it, you're gonna find someone that'll help you. Our first experience with that was, oh gosh, many years ago, probably 15 years ago, maybe. We had a group of parents that brought in a hyperbaric chamber, and we had been researching hyperbaric and looking at going to either Florida or Canada for my son Jacob. And we didn't, financially, the first few years of my kids' lives was pretty tough road. So couldn't really afford to do it. And also we hear this mobile chamber is going to be here. It was a much less cost than traveling to, Florida or Canada. So we said, you know what, we're going to do it. We committed to a whole series of, I think it was 40 dives was one session over the course of about 3 weeks. And we didn't have the money. And we sat down, my sister and my wife, and we started looking at, what groups are there? How can we get this done? We don't have, no way we can financially do this. I had never gone out and asked for money in my life. It was completely out of my comfort zone, out of my nature. My idea was to, work harder if I needed more money.
Right.
And so it was a real learning experience and a growth experience for me. But we did that, and we each targeted different groups. We had some local groups, and we ended up did 120 dives over 2 years. So that's how many, I think $12,000 we raised. And what I learned in doing that is that there's a lot of really good people out there, and there's a lot of people that get tremendous joy out of helping people, and they don't want recognition. Probably the most profound experience for me was I was in a local grocery store, and I met a lady from a women's guild from some college, and they had raised $500 between a group of women and donated. And my wife had sent a very nice thank you letter explaining her experience. And I met the lady in the store, and she just broke into tears talking about, how much it meant to her to be able to help. So that was a turning point in my life to really understand and look at things differently. So that, I think helped us starting to try to, match families up with groups that can help. And there's thousands of groups out there that do great things. And, you don't see it in the media all the time, but they're out there, and there's a lot of really good people. You need to find those resources, and we will help with that.
Yes, and that guide, I know the funding resource guide, that's something that's actually, I believe, in chatting with Tammy, that's printable, right? Offline for free, isn't it?
Yeah, you can buy a hard copy, or you can actually download it for free. So
there's two options.
We can attach a link to the Facebook post so people can go there and click on it and
right.
And download that, and then at any point in time they can call. We can help. If you get stuck anywhere along the way, we can walk you through some of the steps and things you need to do. Also, we have a lot of groups that we work with. We've had people call and say, hey, we've got $10,000 we need to spend by the end of the year. Or we've had a lot of local bike clubs been extremely supportive and generous in helping us. So talk to us, ask questions, and we will help you navigate that path.
Yes, and you guys have done so much for so many, and it's just such a true testament, like as we are impacted by things that have happened in our lives and our journey, and you're giving back and changing the lives of so many others, Hal. I just think it's amazing. When we talk about just kind of going back for the folks, if they're just tuning in now, to make sure though, probably that first stop, if they're looking to get their loved one into a bike, would be to call you guys and get in for that fitting, because you got to know what you're asking for, right?
Exactly. That's the very first step. And then we can document what you need. We can, a lot of the groups would help fund it. They want to know that you're going to use it. So they want to know that you've ridden it, that you tested it, that it works. A lot of times we'll work hand in hand with the physical therapist, or occupational therapist, or rec therapist, and we'll get that clinical input and try to document the fact that it works, it's safe, it's the right thing, and those are all good things in helping getting
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest things that sometimes falls through the crack is that you have to have all that back documentation. Whenever we're doing an ask for something, asking for further donations, or even asking for assistance through some of our funding sources through each state that we live in, it's having that back documentation that we've done the work, that there's a need there for it, and then going to that next step. So that's wonderful that you guys are there to do that. Now with Project Mobility, events are taking place, like you're putting on, I saw some, like you do golf events and biking events, right? I mean, anyone can hold an event. Is that to raise funds, or can they also hold an event to learn more about the bikes?
All the above, really. I mean, we have 4 signature events.
Okay.
Our major event is called Everybody Rides, and we developed it as an adaptive, inclusive ride. And the idea there was to get the able-bodied cyclists to come out and ride, and through doing that, they raise funds so we can get bikes for people. But then we get people from the community that have gotten bikes, kids, injured veterans, adults, and we get them out there on hand cycles and adaptive bikes. They can go anywhere from a mile to 60 miles. And so it's really an inclusive type event where there's music, there's food. Pig Minds Beer is one of our sponsors. So it's a really festive event. And we really get the community together. At the same time, we're raising money, and we present bikes at the event, which is really cool, because that way the people who sign up and ride can see firsthand. When we present these bikes, you look out in the crowd and you see all these tears. And just, you made an impact on people, and they know that their $40 or whatever they spent to participate in the event has really made a difference in somebody's life. So that's really, that's our main event. We also do a golf outing. Okay. And then we have a 5K run in May that's pretty unique. It's a beer run. So we actually have beer sponsors, and we have a couple ounce samples along the way as you go through the course. And again, we'll at the event, we'll present a bike or two to someone. The last event, we presented a bike to a man who was shot in the back trying to protect his daughter, and saved his daughter's life and gave up his ability to walk. And local man here in Aurora, and we were able to get him a hand cycle. And when you see how profound and life-changing it is, and all the people participating in the event, it's just really cool. It's
life-changing, absolutely life-changing, Hal. Really. It's so the 4 big events, but there are other things. So if somebody called you up and said, hey, we would like to, sponsor an event or have an event, with you guys do things along those lines as well?
Yeah, both on the fundraising side, but also, you can call us up and say, hey, I've got a group of kids here, maybe a cerebral palsy camp, or, any number of things, a parent group, and anywhere we can get a group of people together. We can arrange to bring a trailer full of bikes, a couple of people that are experts in fitting, and let's get people on the bikes, let them experience it, let them ride. One of the last events we did as we got toward the fall was a veterans event we did, part of the Project Mobility Veteran Cycling Initiative. And we actually were at Madison, working with the Madison VA, and we had over 25 injured vets come out. Early in the day, we had therapists and case managers and doctors come out, and we talked about the equipment and how we choose it, how we fit it. And then later in the day, veterans arrived, and we did fittings individually with all of them. We documented what they need, we let them experience it, and then we did a 6-mile ride along Lake Monona. So that type of thing we can set up for any type of group.
Right. That's wonderful, because there are so many different organizations that I think could benefit from that have a whole bunch of people that are already involved, that have different adaptable needs, and probably don't even know that something like this exists, that they could have, somebody come and get these young individuals on bikes. I know me and you talked about in Wisconsin here, we have a school called Lakeland School of Walworth County. And so hoping that we'll get you there, Hal.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we'll definitely count us in, and we'll definitely be there.
Yes. And so if someone's listening today and they want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to get a hold of you guys? Is it through your website, by phone? What would you say?
You go to projectmobility.org. There's a contact form there, and just shoot us an email. and or give us a call at that number, or at 800-711-BIKE is the bike shop. So you can call us there or email, whatever you're comfortable with, and let's just start a conversation.
Very good. And we'll drop all these links below so everybody has the phone number and the website and all of that. So before we wrap up, Hal, is there anything else that you would like to leave our viewers with? Any other info or just information that you'd like to share?
Well, the one thing that really sticks in my mind is it doesn't matter what sort of physical limitations that you have. It is rare that we can't find some way to get someone on a bike. It's a very, very rare occasion. So there is hope. And if you have a loved one, a family member, someone, you know, that's had an injury or something happening where they can't ride and they're just thinking, oh, life's over for me, I can't ride. Well, there's hope, and we can help with that.
You sure can. And your slogan, changing lives one bike at a time. I read that and it almost brought tears to my eyes, because you truly have done that and are doing that for your community and, you know, across the United States, really across the world for that matter. So I thank you, Hal, so much for being on this morning and taking the time out to share with us. We're going to get all of that information dropped below this live so that all of you guys have access. Obviously, Hal's available, that if you guys put in an inquiry and you have just other random questions, to make sure that you get them over there so that their staff and stuff can answer that for you guys. But on that note, thank you so much, Hal.
Thank you.
And if you guys want to know any more about the on-air advocate services that we do offer, you guys can go over to onairadvocate.com and you'll find all of them there. Also, if you'd like to become part of our private Facebook community, you can head right up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private group as well. So on that note, thank you again, Hal, and I hope everybody has a fabulous Thursday. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.